Hey guys, Utah Steve back for another overnight adventure. This time I'm wearing the appropriate hat. Of course, this is from the movie Friday the 13th. I am at the Crystal Lake Trailhead, not to be confused with this one where Jason Voorhees slaughtered a bunch of people at Camp Crystal Lake or whatever it's called. I never actually saw the movie. I was just at a Halloween store and saw this and I thought, that is perfect because I am heading to Crystal Lake. Our Crystal Lake is in the Uinta Mountains and we are at the Crystal Lake Trailhead. Now, Crystal Lake is not our destination. There are several lakes around here. I've been here many times before, both without my kids and with. Up here you have Wall Lake, you have Cliff Lake, you have Washington Lake, you have Cliff Lake. I said Cliff Lake. You have Crystal Lake. You have so many lakes, so much access up here. And the reason we're here today is because right here in this very parking lot for the Crystal Lake Trailhead, a man disappeared going out for a hike, a simple day hike, just 3 years ago. About a month past the 3-year mark now. This is kind of wobbling because I'm literally balancing my tripod on a Burger King cup. So I'm trying not to move too much. Anyway, here are the details. On July 31st, 2017, a man by the name of Melvin George Heaps went for a day hike beginning here at the Crystal Lake Trailhead. He was a 74-year-old man. He was from Mesa, Arizona, but he was visiting family here in Utah and was very, very, very familiar and very experienced hiker, familiar with this area, knew it well. He told his family, I'm going for a hike. I'll be at Crystal Lake area. Did not give anyone a direction. You can go this way to Wall Lake. There's Hope Lake. There's different lakes up in there. There's another trail that way that goes to Cliff Lake and Crystal Lake. There's even a trail going back that way that heads somewhere. He did not tell anybody which direction he was going. By that evening, when Melvin had not returned, his family became concerned and called authorities. That night, a search was launched. He was completely deaf in his left ear and had a hearing aid in his right ear. His family was concerned that he wouldn't be able to hear searchers because if the battery had died. He'd been gone so long, maybe the battery had died in his one hearing aid. Being 74 years old, they were, of course, especially concerned. And 150 people searched this area for 6 days and didn't find anything. No trace of Mr. Heaps whatsoever. His vehicle was found here at the trailhead, so they know that he made it to the trailhead, and they just have no idea which direction he went. When Mr. Heaps was last seen, he was 74 years old, 5'10", 185 pounds. He was wearing a long-sleeved red or rust-colored shirt with beige stripes, blue jeans, suspenders, brown hiking boots, thick multicolored socks, a wristwatch with a brown leather strap, possible straw hat. He often hiked with a straw hat. Was carrying a white handkerchief, had a brown leather wallet, and a Toyota car key and fob, along with a chapstick. Very detailed information. One thing I did notice in the description of what he was carrying on his person was no description of a backpack or any hiking gear of any kind. So my assumption is if he was an avid outdoorsman and hiker and he knew this area well, he probably did have a backpack. It probably had sufficient snacks and water for his hike, but probably not more than that because he wasn't intending to spend the night. Mr. Heaps was described as a Caucasian male with gray hair and blue eyes. He had a scar behind his left ear, prescription glasses with gray metal wire frames with auto tint lenses, and clip-on sunglasses. So that is what I've been able to find online about Mr. Heaps. They searched the Trial, Washington, and Wall Lake areas all through here. Online I found a gentleman's blog that thoroughly covered. They had a map, a satellite map showing everywhere they searched, and also areas that he continued to search. This gentleman online has a really good vlog. If I can think of it, I'll put it down in the description. I'll try to find it and put it down there. It's worth checking out. But he had a map of not only the areas the searchers searched, which was very thorough, but also the areas he searched all by himself. I'm not up here to search for Melvin Heaps. I'm just up here for an overnighter and to try to, like the Garrett Bardsley video I did in the Uinta Basin, to get a feel for the area, try to think how he would have thought, try to kind of go off the beaten path, so to speak, and see the possibilities of where he could have gone, how he could have gotten lost. He could have fallen, he could have had a heart attack, who knows. One thing they do know for sure, he was nowhere to be found on any trail through this area whatsoever. So unfortunately, he's still up here somewhere, just like Garrett Bardsley is possibly still in the Uinta Basin, probably. This area of the Uinta is kind of known as almost the Bermuda Triangle of the Uintas. Anyway, our destination today is, I've been to Cliff Lake, I've been to Wall Lake, Crystal Lake, and Washington Lake. Washington Lake has its own campground. This parking lot is packed. It's hugely popular. That's what's so amazing, is that this guy went hiking on July 31st, midsummer. This parking lot had to be packed with people, and a few people said they encountered him on the trail, and that was it. He just kind of walked into the woods and vanished. But Crystal Lake and Washington Lake are right off the road here, right off the trail, and they're so easy to get to that they're always just coated in people. So covered in people. So what I wanted to do is, I tried the process of elimination here. If I were 74 years old and was just going out for a day hike, I probably wouldn't go on an expedition. I just want to be out in nature. I want to be alone and enjoy myself. I could go that way up towards Cliff Lake, but the easier trail and the more popular trail is the one I parked right in front of here. I was lucky to even get a parking spot, to be honest. This trail leads to Wall Lake, and I've been here solo. I think I did my first solo trip here. I'll put a link in the description down below for that. It's an older video, kind of sucks, but whatever, I'll put it down there. It sucks because of the filming and all that stuff. Anyway, I also hiked to Wall Lake with my boys. It's a very kid-friendly hike. It's only about a mile to the lake. Where I want to go is up over the hill from Wall Lake. There's a smaller lake called Hope Lake. I thought hope was a good metaphor for this trip. Maybe there's still hope that he can be found. Of course, not alive after 3 years, but found for closure for the family. I'm not on a mission to find him, but I wanted to go somewhere a little bit off the beaten path, out of the way. What if he hiked to Wall Lake and he wasn't ready to come back to the car, didn't really want to hang out there? Maybe it was crowded because it's only a mile in. So he continued on. There is a trail that splits off, goes down to Trial Lake and also up to Hope Lake. I hopped online and discovered that almost nobody has filmed anything at Hope Lake or on YouTube or documented much about it. There was one short video of a family stuck in a tent during a rainstorm, and frankly, it looks like we might be too. The Uintas has a mind of its own anyway, and if those clouds coming from the west to the east, they kind of accumulate up here, we may be in for some rain. Anyway, guys, I'll stop my babbling. Let's go possibly follow Melvin Heaps' trail, or at least a potential trail where he could have gone, and find our way to Hope Lake. The hike to Wall Lake is not a difficult one. There's not much of an elevation gain. So it's about 4:30 in the afternoon. I got here later than I planned. I worked last night, same old story. I felt so energized this morning. I thought, I'm gonna come home from work, I'm gonna grab my pack because I had everything ready to go, and just cruise up here, spend the whole day up here. And then I decided when I got home, maybe I'll just put my head on the pillow for a little while. And the next thing I knew, it was 1:30 in the afternoon. I got out the door by 2:30, grabbed a bite to eat on the way up, and now it's 4:30 and the sun has been setting around 8, so it is getting later in the year. Today is August 29th, and so the days are getting shorter. I am getting drizzled on a little bit. But it should be a fun trip. It is a Saturday, and what I'm seeing right now is a lot of people leaving the lake with swimsuits on and towels. One guy was carrying a tent in his hands. Another person had a paddle board. It's not that far from the parking lot. A lot of day trippers. The reason Wall Lake is called Wall Lake is because there's a wall there that people jump off of into the water. It's very popular. Previous video up here with my boys, I filmed some of the cliff jumpers. So that's what a lot of people come up here to do. This really pisses me off. Who's gonna pick that up? They think there's a garbage service up here. Doesn't matter if it's a biodegradable bag or not. Pack it in, pack it out. A lot of people up here who just don't do this day to day, and think this is a trip to the city park or something. This is a national treasure, my friends. We don't let our dogs poop in it and then clean it up with a bag just to leave it here anyway. You're almost better off letting your dog crap in the woods and not cleaning it up than leaving that bag behind. Would you leave that in your yard for everyone to see in your front yard? Of course not. So why ruin all this with bags of dog shit? All ranting aside, 3 separate groups of hikers just went by me. All of them had dogs. All of them were carrying their dog poop out. One of them actually stopped and cleaned it up, and I watched them to see if they were going to chuck the bag. Picked it up, put it in a large bag, carried it out. That is what you do. There is no garbage service in the national forest, unless it's a designated campground. But God bless the majority of people who do that. It really bugs me. One thing I want to point out as far as Mr. Heaps is concerned is, as you can see, here's the trail. Take a few steps off that way. There's a drop off. Thick forest. Take a step off this side. Same thing. Lots of forest. Goes uphill, but maybe there's something down there where somebody could fall and get injured. It's possible he just went off trail to go to the bathroom and something happened. He fell. It's highly unlikely, but wild animals do live up here. That's pretty small. Most animals try to avoid us smelly humans. He could have spotted one of these game trails that kind of go off and have a nice little scenic area. I've already taken video of some of those spots along this trail, and when he went down there, something happened. Obviously he planned on coming back. All of his belongings were with him. Nothing was left in the car, including his car keys. At that age, you could say, well, maybe dementia, maybe he had Alzheimer's, something like that. I don't think his family would have let him come up here at 74 years old all by himself if they knew he had a diagnosis like that. So highly unlikely. However, I do have a story about a man who lost his life up here, an older man, I wouldn't say elderly, but older, who did have the beginnings of dementia onset, who was up here with his family. We'll talk about that later. I'd say around the campfire, but we are not having a fire tonight. Don't know if you saw the sign I filmed at the beginning of this trail. There are fire restrictions for this entire area. You cannot have a fire right now. Extreme fire danger. There have been 3 or 4 forest fires up here that luckily they've been able to contain and put out this season. Not anything like what California is going through and does go through every year. You want to hear an interesting story about that? I was in California when I was married to my ex-wife, and all my kids were still at home just a few years ago, and I made a vlog, this full-length video that was about our California trip. Well, we stayed one day too long at the beach house we had rented. We didn't know, we got the dates wrong. We had to leave in a hurry. The cleaning lady showed up and was like, "What are you still doing here?" So we took off. We found a Holiday Inn with an outrageous price on a hotel room a few miles away in another city called Watsonville, California, where a lot of the United States produce comes from. A lot of farmland out there. Anyway, there was some bicycle race going on that was in town, and it was huge, like worldwide race. Like, I mean, it didn't go around the world, but it was like a World Cup type thing. So all the hotel rooms were filled, and we found one room, and we had to pay $500 for the night, plus another $200 tourist fee. Thank you, California. Tourist fee. We'll punish you for coming here. Anyway, and then taxes. We paid $800 for one night in a Holiday Inn. It was our last night in California before making the long road trip home. So, needless to say, we were all very stressed, very tired. So we decided, what the hell, let's go for a swim. They had a nice indoor pool and jacuzzi. Fantastic. So we got our luggage put away and changed into our swimsuits and just headed right for this beautiful pool. We were the only people at the pool. It was so awesome. As busy as the hotel was, nobody was swimming. It was dinner time. People were going out to dinner and blah, blah, blah. So we're having the time of our lives, you know. jumping in the pool, jumping in the jacuzzi, in and out of both just to test the temperatures. The kids were having fun. Everybody was having a blast. And then I started to smell smoke. Kind of like a barbecue, but more like a campfire. And I pointed it out to my ex-wife. I said, "Do you smell that?" She's like, "Yeah, I do. It smells like something's burning." I said, "Yeah." There were windows surrounding this enclosed space. And I looked out one of them, and smoke was billowing up the side of the building, right outside the pool area. So I run over to the window and look out. This hotel sits on a hillside with lots of dry, dead vegetation. And it's on fire, and it's burning up the hill right towards the hotel, more specifically right toward the pool area. I yelled at my family, "There's a fire, let's get out of here, let's go tell the staff." Gathered up the kids, my little boys were just babies. Gathered them up, ran to the hotel desk and said, "Hey, I don't know if the hotel's on fire yet, but it's about to be. There's a fire outside the pool." They run out and look. Next thing I know, the fire department shows up and is just hosing the snot out of it. I remember the fire chief was like talking to me while I filmed. He said, "Where are you folks from?" And I was like, "We're from Utah." At the time we lived in Salt Lake City. He was like, "Oh boy." He looks at the fire and shakes his head and says, "Welcome to California." No big deal to him. You know, the funny thing about Mr. Heaps disappearing up here is how popular and heavily trafficked these trails are. How did he go missing with nobody noticing? You know? I mean, I know it's thick and brushy, but chances are he didn't go off trail without a reason. See this little trail right here? That's what I mean. You might be tempted to just be like, where does that go? You know? And you don't know what could happen. Of course, right there, that actually curves around to the creek over here. My point is, an experienced hiker prefers hiking alone, probably, like I am right now. He's in an area that's completely familiar to him. His family wasn't worried about him. He did it all the time. He loved the Uintas, as most of us who come up here regularly do. Poof. It's like Garrett Bardsley. 150, 200 yards to camp from the lake. Vanished. Melvin Heaps. None of these trails are excruciatingly difficult or incredibly long. You can hike all the way up. But if he was going for a day hike, 74 years old, he was probably doing something like I'm doing and just hiking to a lake, having lunch or dinner, probably lunch because it was dinner when they called 911. Lunch, enjoying the scenery, relaxing, being at one with nature, with God, what have you, and heading back to his car at the end of the day, back to his family. And it's heartbreaking when somebody disappears like that. I've not had it happen. But to even read about it, knowing that that family never got the closure they needed, that they're still sitting there right now, wondering what happened to husband, father, grandpa, maybe even great-grandpa. It's heartbreaking. Right up there, my friends, is Wall Lake. We have arrived. Wall Lake. And that is the wall that everybody jumps off of across the lake there. It's cooled off quite a bit, so I think the jumpers are probably done. It's going on 5:30. Now that right there, that little indentation is called the Notch. There's a Notch Lake up here. On the way up, there's a pub called the Notch. That is the Notch. There is a trail that goes up through there. Is it possible that Mr. Heaps hiked through the Notch? Yeah, it's possible. It would make a pretty amazing day hike, and I can't make assumptions that because he was 74, he wasn't ambitious or in good enough health to do it. Anyway, our destination, this trail runs across here and goes up into those trees. And just before it wraps around Wall Lake, I've camped over there and over there. There's another trail that goes off that way down towards Crystal Lake and splits off and goes up into that hill right there where Hope Lake is. That is where we are headed. This is way too popular. Now I have a filter on my microphone. Hopefully it's doing the job because there's a steady wind blowing. Last couple of videos were butchered by wind. I got a microphone filter, I threw it on there, and I'm hoping it's doing its job. Look at this beautiful lake. I love the Uintas. How can you not? My heavens. Hi, buddy. We're watching each other. Stalemate. Staring contest, go. I won. You twitched. There's our trail going around the lake. And this is our trail going where we need to go. Crystal Lake, that way. Crystal Lake, back the way we came. And over here, just the sign for Wall Lake. No mention of these smaller lakes. You have to kind of plan ahead and know where you're going. That's what I've done. Shouldn't be too far, hopefully. Just so you don't get confused, instead of a blaze, a sign that says trail that way. It's kind of obvious, but maybe you might get confused. I don't know. There's a nice meadow here. Or maybe when that sign was put up, this wasn't so obvious. I have no idea. The first thing we're going to do is come upon a smaller lake before we get to Hope Lake. We're almost there now. When I look on Google Maps, I really need to invest in like All Trails, or what's that other one, Gaia, or whatever it's called. Anyway, Google Maps works okay up here, but it doesn't label everything. So Hope Lake is labeled, Wall Lake is labeled, but the little lake before Hope Lake, which we'll be coming to shortly. Sorry about that, my battery died, and so I had to stop, take off my pack, take out a battery, switch it up, switch it out. But you don't care, you didn't know that. So we are almost at Hope Lake, just a little further. We'll have to gain a little bit of elevation according to my map. I did take a downloaded a topical map so that I can know if there's any elevation gain. So far on this trail, it has been mostly level with very few inclines. This is an awesome trail. It's beautiful too. I mean, look, it's just beautiful, and I'm practically here by myself. You get down towards Wall Lake. Wall Lake is back that way. Here's our pond down here, and then Wall Lake is straight through. There's people everywhere, but you come up just a little further, and that's what I'm talking about. If you pick the right spot, people aren't here to bother you. You can come up here by yourself or with your family, with a loved one, whatever. No one here? Well, you know, until my video goes viral and everyone knows about this place, because that happens to me all the time. No, it doesn't. Anyway, I love this trail. I'm a fan. I've never been on it, and it's beautiful. I just love the scenery and how secluded it is. Hard to believe that in possibly 2 months this will be snowed on. The elevation of Wall Lake is, and the elevation of Hope Lake, if I can find it online, is, it's like it's starting to open up. Downhill now. Look at this incredible meadow. It's just huge. Absolutely beautiful. Enjoy the silence, my friends. When I'm not talking, all you can hear is nature. Look at this. So I thought this meadow up here was our lake all dried up, the small one that doesn't have a name. However, look over here. The lake is here, the small lake. So if you do know the name of this, reaching out to my amazing viewers, I would be happy if you would tell me what the name of this is. Maybe you have a map that shows it. That's just beautiful. Now the pond that I thought was this lake is up there and does show up on the maps as a small pond. This is more of a small lake. Absolutely stunning, isn't it? And these cliffs to the naked eye are pretty amazing. So we're getting close to Hope Lake. I gotta hike back about 100 yards to the trail. We could camp right here, but That wasn't the plan. And I did tell my son I would be at Hope Lake in case I didn't come home like Melvin Heaps didn't. My son knows that if I don't show up by Sunday evening-ish, there's a problem. If I'm running behind, he'll usually text me, "Are you coming home? Are you okay?" That kind of thing, just to check in. So we're a little above the small lake now, and we're starting to go uphill. And I don't know where the trail goes, but Hope Lake should be right up there somewhere. So this is going to be the worst part of the hike, but it won't be so bad on the way out. This trail hasn't been bad at all. This was probably a switchback, but I don't know. We're about to find out. Down there, a little lake, beautiful valley. We came up down through all this. And the trail has been just as I expected. Switchbacks. But I can tell just right up there that this is about to open up. And I passed a couple of hikers who said that there's a junction up here. One is the Notch Trail, and the other one they believed went to Hope Lake, which I'm looking at my map and that matches up exactly. So onward and upward. Another thing that helps should you get lost or anything is when you pass other people, don't be antisocial. Say hello, talk to them, have conversations, brief conversations. Even with the current pandemic, people stand far enough apart, can have a conversation. And that way, you know, in the case of Mr. Heaps, got the sun behind me, sorry. There we go, I'll just blind myself. In the case of Mr. Heaps, a few people said they saw him on the trail and talked with him briefly, so I've done that along the way too. So if I got lost, there are total strangers who would see that on the news or something and say, "Hey, that was that guy we talked to." Get on the phone. Anyway, look, we're almost there to the top. Okay, well, this is amazing and breathtaking. We just came up right here. So we were at the foot of these cliffs just a few minutes ago when I was talking. We got all this amazing view. You can see lakes way out there, miles and miles of wilderness. And you come up to the top and there's Hope Lake. Those people made it sound like maybe it's this way, maybe it's that way. This is it, guys. This is home for the night. Once we find a campsite, that is. I looked at pictures online of this. So this is it. I recognize those rocks over there, those small cliffs. You know, it's probably best that I didn't bring my fishing gear because I don't think this is a lake they would plant. It's too small. It's possible. I suppose it is possible.